The breaking point. Commander Elena Rice adjusted her formal uniform as she stepped into the grand hall of the Galactic Concordat. The massive chamber stretched before her, its vaulted ceiling adorned with a holographic display of the known universe. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations filled the tiered seating, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. Elena took her seat at the far edge of the chamber, noting how the human delegation was positioned in the outermost ring, furthest from the central dais where the 5 ruling species presided. Her aide, Dr. Marcus Chen, placed a data tablet before her and leaned in close. "They've already drafted the resource allocation proposals," he whispered. "We weren't even consulted." Elena nodded, her face betraying no emotion despite the familiar sting of disrespect. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Concordat for nearly 40 years, yet they were still treated as newcomers, primitives barely worth acknowledging. High Chancellor Vorkath of the Valkyrie Imperium rose to his full 3-meter height, his silver-scaled skin shimmering under the chamber lights. The reptilian diplomat's voice boomed throughout the hall. "The distribution of antimatter fuel from the Cygnus refineries shall continue as established. The Valkyrie Imperium claims 50%, the Thizeri Collective 30%, the Nexian Alliance 15%, and the remaining 5% divided among minor species." Elena tapped the request icon on her console, following proper protocol. After several minutes of being ignored, she cleared her throat loudly enough to draw attention. "The human speaks without permission," hissed Ambassador Ziv of the Thizeri Collective, their translucent tentacles rippling with what passed for amusement among their kind. "I apologize for the interruption," Elena said evenly, "but Earth's current antimatter allocation of 0.3% is insufficient for our growing colony network. Our consumption has increased by 60% since last cycle." Vorkath's vertical pupils narrowed. "And what has humanity contributed to earn greater consideration? Your species joined our civilization mere decades ago. You still rely on primitive fusion drives for most of your fleet. With respect, Chancellor, human technology has advanced significantly. Our new antimatter containment systems operate at 95% efficiency, exceeding the galactic standard." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Trelnox of the Nexians, a crystalline being that glittered when speaking, interrupted with a sharp chime. "The humans play with antimatter like hatchlings with fire. They'll destroy themselves before mastering it." Helena felt heat rising in her face, but maintained her diplomatic composure. "Our safety record speaks for itself. Furthermore, human agricultural techniques have increased food production on 17 colony worlds by 30%. "Enough," Vorkath commanded, his clawed hand cutting through the air dismissively. "The allocation stands. Humans will continue receiving 0.3%. Be grateful for what you're given." The Council moved to the next agenda item, hyperspace lane access. Elena listened as the major powers divided the safest and most profitable routes among themselves, leaving humanity with dangerous outer passages plagued by solar flares and pirate activity. When Elena attempted to negotiate for safer passage rights, the Valkyrie delegate smirked. "Perhaps when humans develop shields that can withstand a basic ion burst, we'll consider granting access to primary routes." "Our shield technology has improved considerably," Dr. Chen interjected, unable to contain himself. "The UES Challenger recently survived a direct hit from—" "Silence," Vorkath roared. "The human assistant speaks without permission. Is this how your species conducts diplomacy?" Elena placed a restraining hand on Chen's arm. "My apologies, Chancellor. However, his point stands. Human vessels now meet Class 3 shielding standards." "Class 3, Ambassador Ziv's skin flushed purple with mockery. "Our scout ships achieve Class 6. Your vessels are toys compared to our battle cruisers, your weapons centuries behind ours. Why should we grant you equal status when you contribute so little?" The chamber erupted in agreement. Elena noticed even the usually neutral Ardini nodding their feathered heads. "We contribute plenty," Elena said, her voice steady despite her growing anger. Human medical research has cured 5 major diseases affecting multiple species. Our engineers have improved station life support efficiency by 25%. Our artists and philosophers bring new perspectives to galactic culture. Minor achievements, Vorkath declared. Nothing that warrants a revision of established protocols. The strong lead, the weak follow. This is the natural order. Elena straightened in her chair, meeting the Chancellor's reptilian eyes directly. Chancellor, I must warn you that continuing to marginalize humanity may have consequences you haven't considered. The chamber fell silent before bursting into laughter. Is that a threat, Commander? Vorkath's scales darkened with amusement. From a species that can barely maintain its own orbital stations without our technical assistance. The laughter died down as Chancellor Vorkath raised both arms for silence. His silver scales gleamed under the chamber's light as he prepared to deliver what he clearly considered the final word on humanity's place in the galaxy. Let me explain something to you, Commander Reyes, Vorkath began, his voice dripping with condescension. The Valkyrie Imperium has ruled star systems for 12,000 years. The Thizari Collective has mastered quantum manipulation for 9 millennia. Even the youngest major power, the Ardini Confederation, achieved faster than light travel 3,000 years ago. He paused, letting his words sink in. Humans, you discovered electricity yesterday in cosmic terms. You still fight wars on your own planet. Your ships leak radiation. Your weapons rely on kinetic force. Primitive. Elena felt Dr. Chen tense beside her, but she remained outwardly calm. Chancellor, those assessments are outdated. Human technology has. Has what? Ambassador Ziv interrupted, tentacles waving dismissively. Improved marginally. You still can't generate a stable wormhole. Your quantum computers are toys compared to our neural networks. Your medical technology relies on crude biological manipulation. The Nexian representative chimed in, their crystalline body resonating with disdain. We've observed your military exercises. Your soldiers still use projectile weapons and explosive devices. Chemical propellants. The Valkyrie moved beyond such primitive methods 8 millennia ago, Vorkath added. Our special forces have developed tactics that... Elena tried again. Tactics. Vorkath laughed, a sound like grinding stones. What good are tactics when a single Valkyrie cruiser could reduce your entire fleet to atoms? Your ship shields couldn't withstand one of our warning shots. The chamber murmured in agreement. Elena noticed several smaller species avoiding eye contact, clearly remembering their own humiliation at the hands of the major powers. Furthermore, Vorkath continued, warming to his topic, your species lacks cohesion. You argue among yourselves constantly. Multiple governments, multiple languages, multiple cultures. How can such a fragmented species hope to contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization? Our diversity is our strength, Dr. Chen said quietly, forgetting protocol again. This time, Elena didn't stop him. She was tired of being silenced. Diversity. Ambassador Ziv's skin turned a mocking shade of green. Is that what you call chaos? The Thizari Collective speaks with one voice. The Valkyrie Empire follows one leader. Unity is strength. Diversity is weakness. Vorkath stood to his full height, towering over the seated delegates. Let me be clear, humans. You exist in this concordat by our tolerance, not by right. You breathe recycled air on our stations. You travel through our hyperspace lanes. You live under our protection. Protection. Elena stood as well, though she barely reached Vorkath's chest. From what, exactly? From extinction, Vorkath replied coldly. There are species in the dark spaces between stars that would devour your worlds without our patrols keeping them at bay. Pirates who would enslave your colonies without our fleet presence. You survive because we allow it. The chamber fell silent. Elena looked around at the assembled delegates, seeing a mixture of smugness and sympathy. Even those who privately disagreed with Vorkath wouldn't speak against him. I see, Elena said finally. So humanity's role is to be eternally grateful for scraps from your table. Now you understand. Vorkath nodded approvingly. Accept your place, and perhaps in a few centuries, you might earn slightly larger scraps. Alina pulled out her communicator and sent a quick message to Earth Command. Dr. Chen glanced at the screen and nodded grimly. Chancellor, Alina said, her voice carrying clearly through the suddenly quiet chamber, I have just received authorization from Earth's United Government to deliver a formal response to this council's position. Vorkath's scales rippled with amusement. Oh, and what would that response be? Elena gathered her materials slowly, deliberately. Dr. Chen stood and collected his tablet. The other 3 members of the human delegation rose as well. Earth formally withdraws from all galactic treaties, effective immediately, Elena announced. We resigned our signatures on the trade accords, the navigation agreements, and the Mutual Defense Pact. Shocked silence filled the chamber. You can't be serious, Ambassador Ziv sputtered, tentacles turning pale. Furthermore, Elena continued, ignoring the interruption, all alien personnel have 96 hours to evacuate human space. After that, our borders are closed to all non-human traffic. Vorkath's scales darkened to near black. You dare. We dare. Elena cut him off. You've made it clear that humanity has no place at this table. We accept your assessment and will chart our own path among the stars. Good day, representatives. With that, the human delegation walked out, leaving chaos in their wake. As the doors sealed behind them, Dr. Chen looked at Elena with wide eyes. Command actually approved this. Elena nodded, her expression grim but determined. They'd been preparing for this possibility for years. The isolation protocol is already being implemented. All human ships are being recalled to Sol system. The aliens think we're bluffing, Chen said as they boarded their shuttle. Elena watched the swirling lights of the Concordat station through the viewport as they pulled away. They'll learn soon enough that we're not. As their shuttle accelerated toward the human transport vessel waiting at the edge of the system, Elena couldn't help but wonder if the galaxy would miss humanity before humanity missed the galaxy. She had a feeling they would find out soon enough. The reversal. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Concordat, Ambassador Tariq Hassan sat in his office on Luna Station, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Unlike his predecessor, Commander Rice, Tariq had been chosen for his firm stance against the aliens who had humiliated humanity for decades. The holographic display before him showed images of worlds across the galaxy, many in states of growing crisis. His aide, Lieutenant Sophia Park, entered with a fresh batch of data. Sir, we've intercepted another distress signal, she reported, sliding a data crystal into the console. This one from the Ardini homeworld. Tariq watched as the feathered ambassador, who had once nodded in agreement with Vorkath's insults, now pleaded for assistance. Their agricultural systems were failing without human bioengineering expertise. Add it to the coup, Tariq said coolly. What's the status of the Thizeri situation? Sophia brought up a new hologram showing purple-hued worlds in chaos. Critical. Their medical infrastructure is collapsing. The plague has spread to 17 colony worlds. Death toll estimated at 12 million and rising. Tariq studied the reports with grim satisfaction. The Thizeri Collective, once proud of their advanced healthcare, now faced catastrophic outbreaks of diseases they could no longer treat. Without human medical researchers continually updating and adapting vaccines, their biological defense systems had begun to fail. They were among the cruelest to us at the Concordat, Sophia remarked. Yes, Tariq agreed. Ambassador Ziv personally blocked 3 human medical research stations from being established in their sector last year, called our techniques primitive contamination. A communication alert chimed. Tariq checked the source and raised an eyebrow. Speaking of the Thizeri, they're requesting direct communication. Priority 1. Will you accept? Sophia asked. Of course. Let's hear what they have to say. The holographic display shifted to show Ambassador Ziv, their tentacles now pale and listless, a sign of extreme distress among their species. Gone was the superior tone, replaced by barely concealed desperation. "Ambassador Hassan," Ziv began, their normally melodic voice trained. "On behalf of the Thizari Collective, I extend greetings to humanity." "Ambassador Ziv," Tarek acknowledged coolly. "What can Earth do for you?" "Our people are dying," Ziv said bluntly. "The xenovirus strain that your scientists helped contain last decade has mutated. Our medical specialists cannot develop an effective countermeasure." "That's unfortunate," Tarek replied, his face impassive. "I recall your exact words at the last Concordat meeting. I believe you called human medical technology crude biological manipulation." Ziv's tentacles twisted in what might have been shame. We were wrong. Human intuitive approach to virology is unique in the galaxy. You see connections our analytical systems miss. And now, you want our help. We are prepared to offer significant compensation. Antimatter reserves, hyperspace lane access, technology exchanges, the same resources you denied us when we were part of the Concordat. Tarek interrupted. "Yes," Ziv admitted. "We recognize our error in judgment." Tarek let the silence stretch uncomfortably before responding. "The United Earth government has established clear conditions for resuming any cooperation with galactic species. Are you familiar with these terms?" "We are." Ziv's color darkened with what humans had learned was embarrassment. "The Thizari Collective is prepared to meet them." "All of them," Tarek pressed, "including the public acknowledgement of past discrimination and formal apology." Ziv seemed to shrink before their eyes. "Our High Council has authorized me to comply with all conditions." "Then proceed." Ziv straightened, their tentacles aligning in a formal posture. "I, Ambassador Ziv, speaking with the full authority of the Thizari Collective, hereby acknowledge our grave error in underestimating humanity's contributions to galactic civilization. We apologize for our complicity in their marginalization and recognize that human medical science surpassed our own. We humbly request humanitarian assistance and pledge to support humanity's rightful place among the major powers of the galaxy." Tarek nodded slightly. "Your statement will be recorded and broadcast throughout human space. The Earth Council will review your request and respond within 48 hours." After the communication ended, Sophia looked at her superior. "Will we help them?" "Yes," Tarek said, rising from his chair. "But on our terms. Medical teams with military escorts, full data sharing, and a revised trade agreement that gives us 30% of their antimatter production." "They'll agree to anything at this point," Sophia observed. "Yes, they will," Tarek said grimly. "This is just the beginning." The first to publicly break had been the Ardini Confederation, their feather-crested diplomats broadcasting a formal apology across all galactic channels just 3 months after Earth closed its borders. Their agricultural systems, heavily dependent on human-engineered symbiotic bacteria, had begun to fail catastrophically. Earth had responded with measured assistance, providing just enough help to prevent mass starvation, but extracting favorable trade terms and military access agreements in return. The Nexian Alliance followed 2 weeks later, when their crystalline communication network began suffering cascading failures. The system, it turned out, relied on algorithmic updates from human programmers. Updates they had claimed were minor technical adjustments, while privately depending on them completely. Now, as Tarek prepared for the emergency session of the newly formed Galactic Council, he reviewed Earth's dramatically improved position. In just 6 months, humanity had negotiated separate bilateral agreements with 14 former Concordat species, each deal carefully structured to ensure respect and fair treatment for humanity. Only the Valkyrie Imperium remained defiant, though their mighty civilization showed increasing signs of strain. 3 of their colony worlds had declared independence, aligning themselves with the new human-friendly coalition. "Ambassador," Sophia called from the doorway. "It's time." Tarek nodded and followed her to the newly constructed council chamber aboard the massive Earth diplomatic vessel Unity. Unlike the Concordet's hierarchical arrangement, this room featured a perfectly circular table with identical seating for all representatives. As Tarek took his place, he noted the attendance with satisfaction. 17 species had accepted Earth's invitation to this new governing body. Conspicuously absent was High Chancellor Vorkath of the Valkyrie. No sooner had this thought crossed his mind than the chamber doors opened to admit a Valkyrie, though not Vorkath. This was a younger female, her silver scales bearing the distinctive red stripes of the progressive faction. Ambassador Sylvana. Tarek acknowledged with genuine surprise. We did not expect the Imperium to send a representative. The Imperium did not send me, she replied, her voice clear and unembittered. I represent the reformed Valkyrie coalition. High Chancellor Vorkath was removed from power 3 days ago. Murmurs swept through the chamber. The mighty Vorkath, deposed. The Imperium is in chaos, Sylvana continued. Without human innovation bolstering our antimatter refineries, our fleet is operating at 30% capacity. 5 more colony worlds have declared independence. Our economy is collapsing. And you've come to negotiate terms? Tarek asked. I've come to acknowledge reality, she replied simply. The Valkyrie treated humans with contempt because we feared you. Feared us. Ambassador Ziv of the Thizeri interjected. The humans were barely spacefaring. Precisely, Sylvana nodded. No species in galactic history has advanced as rapidly as humans. What took us millennia, they achieved in centuries. Our predictive models showed humanity surpassing the Valkyrie within 300 years. Vorkath and the old guard couldn't accept this. She turned back to Tarek. They thought suppressing human development was the answer. Instead, they forced you to become entirely self-sufficient, the very outcome they feared most. Tarek allowed himself a small smile. And now? Now we understand that cooperation is preferable to extinction, Sylvana said pragmatically. The reformed coalition is prepared to meet Earth's conditions, including the public apology and reparations. In that case, Tarek stood, addressing the entire chamber. I propose we begin this historic session by drafting the foundational principles of our new Galactic Council. Principle 1. All spacefaring species, regardless of technological development stage, shall have equal voting rights on matters affecting the galaxy. One by one, the representatives voiced their agreement, including Sylvana. Principle 2, Tarek continued. Resource allocation shall be determined by need and contribution, not military might or historical precedent. Again, unanimous agreement. As the session progressed, Tarek caught Sophia's eye across the chamber, where she managed the Earth delegation's support staff. Her slight nod confirmed what he already knew. In 6 short months, humanity had reshaped the galaxy's power structure entirely. 1 year to the day after Commander Elena Reyes had walked out of the Galactic Concordat, she stood beside Ambassador Hassan on the observation deck of the Unity, watching delegates arrive for the formal ratification of the new Galactic Charter. Did you ever imagine this outcome when you delivered our withdrawal? Tarek asked, gesturing toward the diverse fleet of diplomatic vessels, docking with the massive Earth ship. Elena shook her head, smiling slightly. I hoped we might earn their respect eventually. I never dreamed they'd fall apart so quickly without us. They never realized how dependent they'd become on human innovation, Tarek observed. They took our contributions for granted while mocking us as primitives. A dangerous combination of arrogance and ignorance, Elena agreed. Below them, in the grand reception hall, representatives from 29 spacefaring civilizations mingled freely. The hierarchical divisions of the old Concordat nowhere to be seen. The Valkyrie delegation has arrived, Sophia announced, approaching the 2 senior diplomats. Ambassador Sylvana requests a private word before the ceremony. Elena raised an eyebrow. With me? She specifically asked for the commander who taught the Valkyrie humility, Sophia said with a small smile. Minutes later, Elena found herself face to face with the Valkyrie who had replaced Vorkath. Up close, Sylvana's scales shimmered with iridescent patterns that Elena recognized as signs of respect in Valkyrie culture. "Commander Reyes," Sylvana began, "I wish to thank you personally before the public ceremony." "Thank me?" Elena was genuinely surprised. "For breaking the cycle," the Valkyrie explained. "The Imperium has dominated through fear for millennia. We forgot how to innovate, how to adapt. When you walked out that day, you didn't just change humanity's path, you changed the course of every species in the galaxy." "Including the Valkyrie?" Elena asked. "Especially the Valkyrie," Sylvana confirmed. "My people are learning to create rather than conquer. It is uncomfortable, but necessary." "And Vorkath?" "Exiled to a comfortable estate on our homeworld," Sylvana said with what Elena recognized as the Valkyrie equivalent of a smile. "He spends his days writing lengthy treatises on the natural superiority of the Valkyrie species. No one reads them." A chime sounded, signaling the beginning of the ceremony. "It seems our time has come," Sylvana said. "After you, Commander. Humanity has earned the right to lead the way." As Elena walked onto the ceremonial floor, she thought about the journey that had brought them all to this moment. The galaxy had pushed humanity to its breaking point, never imagining that humans would simply walk away. They had mistaken patience for weakness, adaptability for disorganization, diversity for chaos. Now the galaxy understood. Humanity wasn't a minor player to be tolerated or exploited. They were innovators, problem solvers, the glue that held disparate civilizations together. And as representatives from across the stars gathered to sign the new charter, a document based on mutual respect and cooperation rather than dominance and fear, Elena couldn't help but feel that perhaps this had been the only way forward all along. Sometimes you had to walk away to be truly seen. Sometimes the galaxy needed to break before it could be rebuilt into something better. As Elena took her place beside Ambassador Hassan for the signing ceremony, Dr. Chen approached with a data tablet. "You might want to see this before we begin," he said quietly, handing her the device. On the screen was a message from Earth Command. Preliminary reports of unusual energy signatures beyond the galactic rim. Possible evidence of advanced civilizations previously unknown to the Concordat. "New neighbors?" Elena asked. Chen nodded. "Initial analysis suggests they may be even more advanced than the Valkyrie." Elena smiled as she handed the tablet back. Perfect timing. The galaxy just learned the value of treating newcomers with respect. Together, they stepped forward to help inaugurate a new era of galactic cooperation, one where humanity's voice would never again be silenced.